So hi, well, the Good Noise Podcast. I'm Shane,
I'm Glory.
and we're here with
Frankie Mish. Looks like Sleepwaker.
yes,
There you go.
and we're gonna ask him some questions today. I'm gonna start. So, what inspired the creation of the band, and what does the band name mean?
So, what was the first one? What started it?
Yeah, what inspired the creation of the band?
So it was. I mean, me and our vocalist Hunter have been in a band for so long. I've known him since I was 13. So actually 10 years now.
Wow.
But we were in bands like on and off with friends and like different people here and there. And then eventually it turned into a more serious thing. And Sleepwaker kind of was like, it happened immediately after we decided to join our own separate different bands. And eventually those bands all broke up, and I had some people from that last band that we were like, hey, let's start a project. And Sleepwaker was kind of like the culmination of all those years finally getting it right, which was awesome.
Hell yeah.
But it formed when I was 16, and we were kind of talking about, like, in my parents' basement, we were kind of talking about like what's a cool name that kind of fits the feeling of, you know, the music we're writing. And we were talking about sleep and like how I've had issues with insomnia since I was a kid, and Hunter and I both have had issues with sleep paralysis and stuff like that, which I think a lot of people have experienced in some way. But it was just kind of an interesting topic, and we're like, this is a cool thing to like kind of bring into a band and kind of have a concept built around. So it was like Sleepwalker, and then, you know, we Googled it, and there's 50 million bands named Sleepwalker.
Yeah.
So we were like, what if we take out the L? What if we do this thing? And that just kind of that was it. We were like, okay, that's a cool name. It's brandable, like it's interesting, and people are going to call us Sleepwalker for the rest of our career. So.
All right.
And when people Google the right name, it'll show up on top.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like if you Google us right now, you've got our whole thing, our whole band name pops up. It's an easy to remember, brandable name. So,
Yeah, definitely. Perfect. All right. So congratulations on your upcoming release, Alias. How do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
It's been crazy. It's definitely one of the biggest reactions we've seen so far, in terms of just like seeing people complimenting the video and like the actual song itself too. And it's definitely one of the kind of out of left field songs that we've done. More out of left field songs. It doesn't really sound like the rest of our catalog, but it definitely sets the tone for some of the stuff that we've got coming up on this next record, and how it transitions us from the song we've been doing into something a little bit more modern and mature.
Yes.
So yeah,
For
it's been really cool to see all these people noticing that kind of stuff. With the little details and things.
That's awesome. So is there any meaning behind the album name or the cover art?
Oh yeah. So we're a band that loves to shove a ton of meaning and a ton of little Easter eggs and extras into everything we do, and
Perfect.
then do a terrible job explaining it all.
Oh.
So that like, because we're like, okay, so this is really cool. Like, what if we did this? What if we did this? And then we throw it all in there and we do all this stuff, and then we're like, cool. Hopefully someone gets it. And then we go on Reddit like 2 years later, and someone's finally gotten it, but it's like it's already past the whole. Like
You're already on the next album cycle.
Yeah,
exactly.
So it's Alias. It stands for All Life is a Sound, which is another thing that is eventually going to come into play with future stuff that we do.
Okay.
But the concept of the album is more of just a introspective. What's the word? It's just an E. Introspective view of what it means to be a person, like who you are, and we kind of felt that helped tie into some of the sleep things, like when you get delirious or insomnia, everything like that, you eventually start feeling like dizzy, or like you have out of body experiences, that kind of deal. like this is kind of an interesting topic, and we loved exploring like pop culture references and stuff like that. Like a lot of the album comes from Ghost in the Shell, Cowboy Bebop.
Yep.
Yeah, and I love The Matrix and Blade Runner and all these things. So when we were writing the lyrics, that's what I came up with all my influence from, were those pieces of media. And when it came to doing the album artwork, I kind of sat down and I was like, okay, like I have a friend that does, our old guitarist actually took the photo of the person on the front cover. And I was like, this is really cool. It's simple. It encapsulates kind of like the feel and like the style. It's got that Blade Runner, like cool glowy kind of feel and all this stuff. And then I just added the cables coming from the head and everything to give it that Matrix like aesthetic and everything. And then from there, the type and just coming up with that was just referencing cool sci-fi kind of stuff and going from there and making sure it felt the same, felt like it fit the sound that we were going for.
Okay.
Definitely.
I definitely did get like the sci-fi feel from the album while listening to it, for sure.
Yeah, there's a couple Matrix references, and that's kind of what we were going for with that that artwork. Because the Matrix movie, the fourth one, was supposed to come out last month, actually, if COVID.
Oh.
So we were like, it'd be kind of sick if we're going to release it around now to have that be kind of tying in, and with Cyberpunk coming out and all this stuff, they're like, it's super interesting. And we came up with all these concepts and everything a year and a half ago, roughly, before COVID came. So it was kind of cool to see everything kind of like all the trend kind of push away from like the cowboy Red Dead Redemption into like techie kind of stuff. So that's
for sure
the feeling we wanted to incorporate in.
Definitely. It's amazing. It all fits perfectly now. It's great.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for this record?
Yeah. We were going to be going on a few tours and stuff like that, and we had some demos made up, and then it was going to kind of culminate into a bunch of touring, and then like a couple months off. And during those months off, we would sit down and write a record and then go back on tour, and hopefully by the time we were done with those, it would be done and we could release it around this summer. But we ended up getting all those tours canceled and had a bunch of time off. So I decided to go into the studio, which I live with our producer. So I literally just walked into the basement and we started writing. And it definitely, the demos we brought in versus what we left with, there were a couple songs that we didn't change really much to, or like we just added little bits of stuff in. But we definitely came in, scrapped some songs, redid some things, and took more time than we would have had if we were touring and had we gone out on all those runs. So I think the recording process was a little bit more relaxed, and we had time to really perfect everything and solidify what we wanted out of the album. Don't Look at the Moon, our last release, we definitely had some stuff that was like, this is good, this is solid, but like we can do better. And on this record, when we wrapped everything up and we were like, okay, ship it out, I think we were almost everyone in the band was like, or everyone in the band was like, this is it. Like, I think it's got a nice bow on it. We can hand it to someone and call it good. Like, it was nice to have that extra breath of fresh air to like take a step back and look at everything. And so the recording process was definitely more lax, not in the sense of like, it's more relaxed.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a ton of fun doing it and trying to make new sounds and everything. But,
Definitely. It's amazing. You guys weren't rushed, basically.
Exactly.
Like, we have to finish this, then we could go back on tour, to then get off tour, then finish another record, and then get back on tour, just getting that loop. You guys actually had time to kind of relax, like, okay, let's actually pick on this song for this week or whatever.
That it ended up coming out with, we learned that certain members that hadn't written stuff before, or people that didn't have as much to put in, ended up putting in way more than we were expecting. So it was nice to kind of sit down and give them more of a platform and stuff like that. Like it was way more collaborative than the last few albums, because last few albums were like the EP was basically just me writing it in my bedroom and then taking it to a producer, and then Don't Look at the Moon was like but mostly me again writing stuff, and then our guitarist came in for like 2 songs or something like that. And this one, we were all there, all collaborating, all creating stuff. So it was really nice to see.
That's fantastic.
Are you guys looking to write like that more in the future, or is it just kind of if with your schedule and everything it allows that to happen?
I mean, we're definitely going to do that more in the future. But we've found ways with quarantine and everything, we found ways to do it remotely. So like I can write stuff on my own, and then there are things that I can't do that I don't really bring to the table that our guitarist Jake does. Like he does EDM music and stuff like that. So he knows his way around synths and like all this extra production that I don't really have an in on. So it's going to be like, I write something, I hit a brick wall, send it to him, have him like help with that. And then like our bassist Aaron is absolutely insane on piano, and we had no clue. And so now it's like, okay, well, we can do some cool stuff, and like he doesn't have to be playing piano, but he can be doing like some little extra things and stuff. And we didn't get to utilize all of this as much on this new record, but it's because we were all kind of like it's a transition. It's more like we're sitting down and coming into our roles. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for the future and this album to come out and hear the hints of that stuff being thrown in.
Hell yeah.
Definitely. Right. Amazing.
So I want you to pick your favorite lyric off this album and tell us the meaning behind it.
Oh.
And you can just tell us a song if you don't want to like spoil a specific song that's not out yet.
Yeah. There's almost 2, and one of them is like really actually I'll save that one. I'll save the second one. But the first one, on the song Alias, because Skin's already out. I think there's some lines on Skin that I really like, but just kind of like add to the suspense of the album. The song Alias definitely has some really cool references and stuff like that to directly to Ghost in the Shell, and that's like one of my favorite anime of all time, and I love that movie. So the 1990.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. I wanted to be sure.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I love that movie, and there's some direct references to that, and there's even like a sample in that song from the Ghost in the Shell movie and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's probably that sample, and the stuff surrounding it is probably my favorite stuff that we've done. And the end of the chorus on that song, there's a line that kind of wraps up everything, and it's a cool little like the words on it are really, really nice. So,
that makes sense. You've mentioned quite a couple times that this album references a couple animes and movies and stuff that you enjoy. Do you find it difficult to kind of blend the two in your lyrics and production, or is it just very natural for you?
So I don't claim to be like a good writer or anything like that, but I like to throw in, I like to kind of condense everything down into a theme. Like you're watching Ghost in the Shell. The theme is like humanity and like what it means to be alive, and like it's like Blade Runner. It's like the replicants. Are they human? Are they like, at what point does a robot become a human, and what point does like this thing become and at what point do you lose yourself completely? So all the stuff that we kind of reference throughout the album has that theme, and I liked to kind of pick apart why The Matrix has that theme and how it does it differently than Blade Runner, and how Cowboy Bebop has that theme of like how to be free versus like if you've ever seen Firefly, it's an old TV show. There's in that TV show, it's like they're sci-fi cowboys running from like the law kind of deal. It's got Nathan Fillion in it, and it's a really, really, really good show. If you haven't seen it, I 100% recommend it.
All right.
But it's very Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah.
so the themes of like what it means to be free and what it means to be alive are in that one. And then like you've got Ghost in the Shell, which is like, introspective stuff like, am I human, and what does that definition mean? Picking apart those little differences and then taking them into a song and going, okay, so like this difference fits like this like sound of this song.
Yeah,
let's write something abstract but put in references to this thing, because like we have a song that's written about Star Wars, but if I just wrote a song about Star Wars, that's kind of cheesy. Like you immediately kind of get that inkling of like that's a little like nerdy kind of. So if you were to take a step back and like listen to it not knowing it was Star Wars, it wouldn't seem like a Star Wars song. Like I think that's the key to doing that. If you can kind of disassociate the actual thing that you're referencing and put it into its own unique story and theme, that's probably the best way to go about writing stuff without adding in too much of the original source material.
Definitely. You just kind of pick and choose to make everything match.
Yeah. Pick and choose the theme and the concepts.
Yeah, exactly. That's amazing. That's really cool. I didn't expect that at all. All right. So can you tell us where your headspace was at while you were creating this record?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, quarantine was kind of awesome for me.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it was actually pretty good for all of us, I think, because none of us really had any major issues. I was working kind of an office job at a marketing firm at the time, and then quarantine kind of showed me that I can do it from home, and then it eventually showed me that this job sucks. So I quit, and I got like a better headspace, and I feel better about where I am now and everything. And I was feeling better about not being at the office and everything at the time.
Yeah.
So writing the album, I think we were all pretty happy, and we didn't want to necessarily put ourselves in that dark, angry, upset headspace that most metal bands are in. So we didn't want to write a bunch of, I guess, can I swear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. We didn't want to write a bunch of fuck you songs.
Yeah.
Okay.
We wanted it to be like more than that. Like that just seems cheap. Like it's like that's, anyone can tap into that emotion. Anyone can kind of get into that, and it's easy to do. So we didn't want to make it too easy on ourselves. We wanted to actually like challenge what we were doing.
Yeah.
So I think being in a happy space, but also questioning like, what does it mean to be happy, and where can we go from here, and like what's happening next, is kind of a cool way of doing that without making yourself depressed.
Yeah. Oh, happy to hear you guys were doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were all doing pretty good.
Different from our typical answer, which is we were depressed while writing it.
Yeah.
So I know you've mentioned there's a lot of movie and TV shows that influence this record, but what band or artist influence also pop out on this?
Like bands that influence us?
Yes.
I mean, I personally, I'm really a huge fan of Loathe. And I really like the way that they incorporate like melodies and stuff like that aren't, pop melodies.
Yeah.
That and their structure is sick. I love the way they structure their songs, and like, it's just different. It's kind of nice to have like a breath of fresh air like that. So in that same vein, Deftones for sure.
Yeah.
They're pretty huge influence, like the droney, nice kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But also I do love like the 1975 and
so true.
Turnover and like poppier kind of stuff. But I think the overall influence is probably just Deftones.
Okay.
Deftones.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It doesn't sound like Deftones. The album doesn't sound like that at all. Like, I don't ever want to claim that. But yeah, we loved listening through some of that stuff while we were writing, and like trying to get in that headspace and bring the sound that we had on the last record in to feel like this new sound.
Yeah. That makes sense. So this one should be super, super quick. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe this album for new listeners in 3 words.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Introspective.
Okay.
There's a word I mentioned before, but I can't think of it. Starts with an E. It's like thinking about who you are and what it means. What's the word?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have a brand guide that I made not that long ago for Sleepwaker, and I used 3 words specifically.
Yeah.
And I can't think of the.
Come on.
Identity for sure. Introspective, identity, and means like what your place in the universe. Like I'm sure someone out there is going like, oh, it's this.
It's this, yeah.
This. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, can I come back to that and I'll think of the word. Those, or do you need it to move on to the next?
We don't really have a spot for you to come back to it. So if you just any other word, just one word. You just need one word.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Identity, introspective, human.
Human. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
But if the word comes to your head, I'll just blurt it out.
Exactly. Yeah. We don't mind.
Absolutely.
So is there a certain feeling you want your listeners to have while going through the album?
I definitely kind of want people to go through the album with like not expecting just heavy stuff. Like I want people to kind of like listen to it and kind of think like I guess be introspective as they're listening to the album. Like hopefully people can connect with certain things and they can listen to some of the songs. We have a few songs about like what it means to change after going through loss. So like Distance, the song that we put out, is about our vocalists. He lost his grandfather to dementia during quarantine. And it's about him experiencing that loss and how it changed him in the end. Then we have another song that's very similar to that. I actually have 2 more songs that are very similar to that, and lyrically. And I think that taking an experience like that, listening to this album in an introspective way, where you're like, okay, like what about this album is like making me think about who I am and what I do in life. And that's a very, very huge task to put on an album, but I that's what I hope. Like in a perfect world, people would get from it.
Okay,
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. I respect that. So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour. You're at a gas station for a rest stop. You're going in. What is your snack of choice?
So this is a great question for our guitarist Jason, because he always gets the off the wall random thing that turns out to be the best thing that anyone picks.
Oh, I hate when people do that, because then it's like, why didn't I get that?
Yeah, exactly. So but he actually turned me on to they're the sweet Maui onion chips.
Ooh.
And they're incredibly good. They're rare at gas stations.
Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like gas station food.
Like, assuming this gas station is like perfectly stocked, that's what I want.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good.
So where do you see the band in the next 5 years?
Financially stable.
Very good answer.
So you actually mentioned a couple questions back. I meant to bring it up. The album title, if I'm remembering properly, is actually referencing something else in the future that's going to come up. Do you guys like hide little Easter eggs in all your stuff that's going to reference future stuff? Do you like plan that far in ahead, or was that just kind of like a one-time thing?
Yeah, we do, but we like to kind of give ourselves breadcrumbs and then come back to them later to reference them. So like, what if we did this cool thing and we don't explain it? And it's like if you guys ever watch like a David Lynch series, like Twin Peaks or stuff like that. Yeah. He loves to give little things in the beginning that he comes back to and explains, or maybe he just leaves it and it's just there.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same way the Coen brothers do like certain movies, like The Big Lebowski and stuff. They'll introduce characters and weird things will happen around them, and then they're just done. Like they don't come back to it. They don't explain it. I love that kind of storytelling. So, and being in a band, you can do just cool shit and then not explain it, and people are like, "Oh, that was just cool. It just looked cool." But there's actually a song Relief. It starts with a character like waking up in the woods and then travels through the woods, sees a figure of this older woman, and then eventually goes to or wakes up from this like dream state kind of thing, walking through the woods, and notices a car crash happened, and he was knocked out from the car crash, and walks over to the car and sees this woman, his mother, whoever, laying dead in the car. So that actually kicks off all our music video stories. So all the stories that we've done for music videos have been based on that video we put out 3-4 years ago.
Oh my God.
And the story of that is going to be close to an end with the next music video that we have. Well, a music video that we have coming out.
Okay.
Yeah, not the next one, but hey.
That's a pretty big thing to be ending. Like after like 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like as direct. We've been pretty, like I said, pretty good at putting things out and not explaining them and just kind of leaving them. But now we're kind of trying to build that story and loop it back and finalize everything. And that will also help us push off into the next step. We are planning way out further ahead now. We've kind of got some traction, and we're like, okay, this is going somewhere. We have a budget, we have things that we can do, and like money we can spend at least. But it's we don't plan things out too far ahead, because I kind of like that flying by the seat of your pants feeling of like, okay, we've got to do this next thing. What is it going to look like? What is it going to do? Let's do this now. Like spur of the moment. What are we thinking?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to think of something, come back to it a year later and go, that was dumb. Sometimes it's not dumb. You're just tired of hearing it, or tired of seeing it, or tired of thinking about it. So
fair enough.
That's fair. All right. So for these last couple questions, we're going to shift away from music, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sick. So we're going to go straight to death row.
Boom.
So if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
So on death row, I'm pretty sure you can get like multiple kind of things in the meal.
Yeah. It's not just like one thing.
Yeah. So spaghetti is my favorite food for sure.
So true.
But because there's so many variations of it, you can put pretty much whatever you want inside of it. I really, really like sushi and crab for sure. Right. So those are going to be in there. Whether that's a full, like, crab or crab sushi or something. And then for a drink, I really like root beer. I don't drink at all, so when I go to bars with friends and stuff, I get root beer. So it'd have to be it'd have to be a root beer. I live right next to a place called Perrin Brewing in Michigan, and they have some great root beer. So it'd have to be one of those for sure.
All right.
Amazing. All right.
So if you could live in one fiction world for a week, where would you live?
It's
a lot of options.
I've listed off so many that I really like already.
We got you with this one.
So it goes back and forth, but Star Wars and Lord of the Rings are huge for me. So because Star Wars is so like, you could be a nobody and someone could just step on you like an ant. I'd have to say Lord of the Rings, because you could just go to the Shire, hang out. Obviously, hopefully it's not during the scourging of the Shire, but you could just go there, hang out, have a great time. Like,
eat like your 12 meals? Just have a good day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Second breakfast. And,
Wonderful.
But,
so I have the honor of asking the last question. Every single person we've spoken to has actually said it is the most important question. What is your favorite color?
I'm a graphic designer, so it changes. But right now, it is like a teal blue.
Ooh, taste. It's a very good color.
It used to be green. If Sleepwaker's colors as a band change or shift, it's because my favorite color has changed or shifted. Usually.
So you just control that. You control the era's colors.
Yeah. Usually, yeah. Like, it was green when we did our first release because that was my favorite color, like a nice forest green, and because my hair was green at the time. And then it shifted to like black and white, but it still had like a kind of a green color. And then now it's blue and red, like blue and teal, basically. So yeah, that's gotta be my answer. Is like a nice teal blue.
Wonderful, good colors. Good colors.
So as Glory said, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything that you would like to plug?
Alias out July 23rd. It's probably the most proud I've been of a whole project I've ever done. So I'm extremely excited for it to come out, and all the work that everyone's been putting into it is insane. We have an incredible team of people working with us. So yeah, Alias out July 23rd, and I think that's honestly about it. Yeah, more stuff coming extremely soon.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for now. This has been Frankie from Sleepwaker and We're the Good Noise podcast.